Hi, Marcus.
Hey Nick, how are you?
I am good. How are you?
I'm wonderful. I'm a little bit hot, I'm not gonna lie, but
Me too. I have a
it's
fan right in front of you right now, but it is
I want to get
oscillating.
my
But yeah,
fan.
we'll get.
Yeah, we'll
You want to
manage.
get
We'll
your fan?
manage.
Yeah,
We're
sure.
island people. Is there? No. No worries.
We're tropic.
I
Yeah,
grew
it's
up in
tropical
this.
island
We're
people.
tropical people. Yeah.
All right. So, hi, Marcus. My name is Nicolette. I am the creator for the podcast titled "You're Worthless." Read that again. The juxtaposition of your very soul. First up, I'd like to say thank you very much for being so kind and accommodating to me. For the benefit of our listeners, we had to move this interview, I think, twice now, and finally we made it happen. Yeah, three times the charm. And we're here right now with Marcus Aurelius Higgs. Wow, the name.
Hey,
I'd like to read a bit of your introduction for our listeners before we get right into our conversation.
it's your podcast. Go for it.
So, hello everyone. We have Marcus Aurelius Higgs with us. As an educator and mentor to young people from over 20 countries, Marcus has developed a profound understanding of how to be human and bring forth our innate greatness using the relationships we have with ourselves and between our family, communities, and the world around us. Now, Marcus supports parents of preteens using the Show Up framework so a parent can support their child during the preteen's first identity breaking and bring forth their child's greatness. Now, the Show Up framework stands for start with a strong identity, hold space for collaboration, open up communication, wonder and explore this world together, and unveil potential together. Wow, Marcus, welcome.
Hey Nick. It's good to be here.
Right.
Sama. Yeah. Welcome.
Sama true, guys. Yes. So, Marcus, tell us before we before we even go into anything, what was it like growing up as a Marcus Aurelius Higgs?
What was it growing up as Marcus Aurelius? Yeah, it
Yeah.
was. It was. Um, it was wonderful. It was great. So, like I mentioned to you before, I'm a third culture kid. My mother's from the Philippines. My father's from the
No,
Bahamas.
no, I'm Filipino by blood as well.
No, really. Because when
Yes,
I asked you where are you, I was like, I thought you were Pinoy. So then I was just
I
like, but then
am.
when you told me you're from KL,
No, yeah, I was born and raised in KL, but by blood, I'm Filipino.
hey, there you go. My mother said you will always know
Hey,
your kababayan.
yes. Wait, hang on. You can speak Tagalog?
Tagalog? No, she only taught me. She taught me said, of course, kamusta ka mabuti, then mahal kita, mamimiss kita. She taught me all the things that you would say to a girl, but that's all right.
That's about it.
Yeah, that's about it.
Right.
Yeah, so I grew up as a third culture kid, multicultural, and I grew up with, you know what? I grew up as a Seventh-day Adventist, if you know what that is. It's a
SDA.
denomination, SDA, yeah.
Yes, SDA.
And then I, for me, spirituality and religion has never been a burden. And the reason I mention it is because it does inform a lot of the work that I do now. I studied communication and journalism, went to be a missionary Bible English teacher actually in South Korea. And then I
Oh,
say,
안녕하세요.
나래가 있어요? Yeah,
Oh,
there's so many.
네, 감사합니다.
한국말 할 줄
쪽,
알아?
아, 아,
근데
저,
어디서 배웠어요? Dramas,
K-pop.
K-dramas.
K-pop,
K-pop입니다.
particularly BTS.
Aish. That's all right. That's all right.
Okay, I can
Um,
sense some disagreement there, but I mean, yeah,
no, you know what? No, it's me and K-pop. I'm not against anything. I'm not
right.
against anything. Like, do you, boo? I fully support you in all of your expression. Like, that's
But
all good.
thank you.
You the
The-
the
eh,
I'd say my I would say my spiritual and or my worldview expanded. And while I don't identify as a Christian, no animosity towards the church.
Oh, yeah,
I
of
didn't I
course.
didn't want to teach what I don't believe, and so then but I continue teaching. went on to Korea, Thailand, Saudi Arabia. Do you speak Arabic also?
Oh,
No.
wait, hang on. Halas.
Halas, that means
Halas.
and
Halas.
finish.
Halas.
Halas.
Yes. Got, got.
Um, and then Spain, I also taught in Spain.
Muy bien. Okay, wait. I'm gonna have to cut somehow this part, but let's see.
You're
Let's
all good.
see if
You're
I
all
can
this.
keep
You have
it.
to edit
Yeah.
this. You have to edit this. And then yeah, now I'm back. Well, then I went back to Thailand for 7 years, and then now I'm back here in the Bahamas with my aging parents. Yeah.
Wow. 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 Okay.
Wow, wow, we.
Now, wow, you have traveled definitely 20 over countries, right? And then
Well,
lived.
no, well, that said, I was teaching online then, so
Ah, okay, okay,
yeah,
okay. Right, right. You're educator to young people from over 20 countries. But I
yeah,
mean, you lived how many already? Five? At least five?
at least, yeah.
I've
I
only
mean,
lived in one so far, Kuala Lumpur. So, yes, right. So why preteens? Like, why preteen specific?
that's the first identity breaking, and what I mean by that is, so the work that I do is based in human development. And when there's a baby, the baby is dependent upon the mother and the father, right? Dependent meaning you're nurturing it, you're holding it close, you're saying, I love you, you're safe, you're secure, you're seen, you're soothed. When
Mm-hmm.
you get to adolescence, eventually, as humans, we need to move into independence. And then there's a maternal energy that pushes you away, that says
That's
you're
right.
safe, you're seen, you're secure. It says all the same things, but it says you have to do
At
this
a distance.
independently, right? Because I need you. And that tension creates a holistic human being, that pushing and pulling, right? Now, it doesn't say, yeah, I reject you, but it says, hey, you need to learn how to do this yourself because the final form is interdependence. Um, our brain even works like this. Our brain separates mitosis, our cells in our bodies, and then it comes back together to organize. And it says, I promise to take care of me to be in service to you if you promise to take care of you to be in service to me. And that's what a healthy community is. So naturally, there has to be a breaking away from your parents. And since this is the first breaking, a lot of kids don't know how to manage it. They put up a wall of ice, I call it. ICE. There's an identity breaking. Then there's a collaborative mistrust. They don't know who to trust when this happens because their whole world is black and white, right?
Mm.
Everything that their parents says was gospel or it's a truth. But then when they start to get other worldviews or understandings of the world, they look at their parents and they're like, what you're saying is not right. But they don't know what nuance is yet.
Yeah.
Nuance comes at 18. Um, skepticism comes around 12 years old. And then E is emotional mismanagement. They're having big emotions because there are big expectations upon them, and they don't know how to manage how they're feeling. They don't know how to communicate because they're expected to be adults. When it's like, no, 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 you're figuring yourself out right now. So why preteens? If you learn how to communicate with them at this age and you learn how to walk with them in their thoughts, help them process their thoughts. Angela Duckworth says every kid, all you need is one psychologically wise adult in your life. If you can have that, it can change your whole outlook on life, your whole trajectory of life. So, Mr. Rogers said, if you want to help the kids, support the parents, and that's what I do.
Very briefly explain. Thank you,
Yeah.
Marcus. And
You asked why do you do what you do? Yeah, that's why I do it. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Now, how can parents maintain open communication with their teenagers during the phase when they tend to pull back and desire more independence? Now I think we're getting into the real stuff right here.
Yay, the heavy stuff.
Yeah.
Hmm. How to keep the
Oh my God.
communication open?
Can I be excused? I need to get the fan like to me. I will definitely cut this part off.
The struggle is real. Let's say the struggle is real.
It is a
You didn't.
hot
And I
Thursday
said
morning for me.
the struggle is real.
The struggle
Yeah.
the struggle
Yeah.
is really real, like really. Okay.
Those bangs are right in your eye. You okay?
I know. Today it's not really working. Oh, I just need some Zen moment. Just
Take your time.
You must think I'm the most ridiculous podcast host you've ever met
No,
so
no,
far.
it could get more ridiculous. You'd be surprised. I do want to ask you about the name. What is that? You are worthless.
So it's you're
Oh.
worthless. Read that again. The juxtaposition of your very soul. So your worthless came about a phrase that I used to tell myself when I had my own
Mhm.
trauma
Mhm.
back in 2019. And but then spirituality as well. I
Mhm.
had my awakening, and honestly, it's actually the opposite of that. You know you're not worthless, right? You're worthy.
Mhm.
I term it as you are worthy and you are enough. And hence, that's why the name is like that.
So, so why does it read that again?
I'm asking that person to read it again. Are you really worthless?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you're not. That's why it's juxtaposition.
I actually read this poem today. I shared it with someone on a podcast. It's called "Dear
Uh-huh.
Child of Mine, You're Worthy of Being."
Mm. So
All
many
right.
parallel.
Hey, there are
Hey,
layers, and there are layers.
yes. Okay, I'm ready now, Marcus.
I'm ready for my close up. Let's do it. Let's go.
Okay.
Let's go.
Yes. Action. So, Marcus, how can parents maintain open communication with their teenagers during the phase when they tend to pull back and desire more independence?
I'm gonna think. First of all, you yourself have to be a trustworthy present parent, and I'll explain what that is. So I'm gonna think of a strategy, just a broad thing, and then one tactic. Now, there are many, many, many tactics we have, but just in a broad sense, remember, kids are hiding behind this wall of ice. They're distancing themselves because, one, they feel there's this expectation and they feel judged in their head. So if they always interact with you and they feel judged by your interaction or you're looking down on them, it may not even be true. It might be the story that they're telling themselves in their head, telling
Mm.
themselves that they're worthless, right? We are the stories we tell ourselves. You want to show up in their life, trust, yeah, and you want to be a trustworthy present parent. You'll hear me say trust a lot. What trust is, it's on three things. It's first, what you're saying is true. Like they want to know what you're saying is true.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, kids remember, like I said, there's mistrust of collaboration or collaborative mistrust because they don't know who to trust, right?
Mm-hmm.
But trust is based on three things. What you're saying is true. The second one is it makes sense in their head. So it has to make sense in their head. And the third thing is they have to know that you're there for their well-being, that you care, basically. And then it's built over time. Now, if you have that trust over time, they'll open up to you as their parent when they're ready. We're not, we as humans are supposed to have multiple adult figures in our lives. It's called allo parenting. There's a book called Mothers and Others, but ideally you have other trustworthy present parents in their life, and that could trustworthy adults in their life. Those could be teachers, could be coaches, those could be people from your group of faith. If you go to church or synagogue or a masjid, so you open up, you keep the communication open by giving them spaces to express themselves, even if it's not in voice or word-to-word conversation. They might express themselves through writing. They might express themselves with another adult. They will express themselves with you if you are a trustworthy present adult in their life. Um, and the reason I say it like that is because there are going to be moments when your kid closes up.
Mm-hmm.
Don't take it personal. Don't get angry at them. It's not personal. It's not permanent, and it's not pervasive, meaning it's not in all things. If you can do this as an adult, they'll open up to you when they're ready. And when they are ready, there are skills also how to compound on that, or like how to also work with it. This is the final thing I'll share with you. This is the actual tactic. Remember how I said trust is built over time? There's something called view time. And what view time is small, a sliver amount of time that's regulated. It could be once a week or something that you tell your kid, hey, this is time that I'm going to have undivided attention. Could be 5 minutes, could be 10 minutes. And you make it a ritual. Could be walking around the block. It's your choice, right? During this time, you can talk about whatever you want. It's you time. And the whole thing is we make scheduled time for the things we care about. If you're dating a partner, right,
That's right.
you would make date nights. Or if you pray, there are set times for prayer, right? My point being is you're communicating to your kid, you will have my attention because you're worthy of my attention. And when you're ready to communicate with me, you can communicate with me in this time. But I'm moving you towards autonomy, and I'm supporting you by giving you my attention to walk through your thoughts when you're ready.
No, we can end the comment now. It was a joke. No, but I think I can relate because growing up, my dad works, so he goes away from the house. He goes out station, we call it, in Kuala Lumpur, and he only comes back once a week. So it's mostly my mom, so my sister and I and my mom. But dad always he's always that figure that you fear. Whenever he comes back, he always want to ask, like, how's your grades, how are they doing in school and whatnot. But he never failed to ask about that. And also, I think he'll check up on my mother on our well-being, and he would sit down with us. Now, because I wanted that autonomy, so I moved from home. I've been out from the house since I was 17, and still am. And between that, of course, I had the first time going out. It's like, yay, freedom! I can finally do things on my own, decide, go party those days. And
Sure,
then
yeah.
and then not have anyone question where my whereabouts are. And then I think I grew closer to them after my how do I say this? I got married, and they were not so approving of the marriage, and I got divorced. And then, of course, the only two person that came back to it was the both of them. And then I remember that one day my dad just said to me, "I told you so." It was, and that was all
Ouch.
I needed to. Yes, but that was all I needed to hear and to understand that they truly got my back. And from there onwards, my relationships with them blossom, like we're closer than ever, because I now trust them fully that whatever happens, they're gonna be there to to pick me up. I mean, it's not to pick me up because I need to get myself out of it as well. But then they're gonna be there. They're my rock and pillars.
Y- You know,
Yeah.
so one thing in the work that we do is it's called repairing and reconnecting. So we say everything that grows must first break.
Hmm.
So breaking is a part of human development.
Right.
But when
Like
you
breaking the
when
heart,
you like
right?
breaking the heart,
It's good.
but check it out. Um, then you're made stronger in the broken places.
That's
You're
right.
made stronger in the broken places because when you break, you figure out who am I,
Hmm.
and that's one thing that wisdom teaches us, life experience teaches us. It, I don't know the details of your divorce, but like after your divorce, the question is, who am I?
Oh my God.
And
Yes.
right?
That was the main theme of my day-to-day.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
at one point, I labeled myself as worthless because I lost my
Mm,
sense of self.
mhm, mhm.
That was the impetus
And,
of my podcast.
hey, and look at you
A
now, right?
pretty,
And
I feel pretty
that's what it
good,
is.
pretty proud of
I
myself.
feel you put yourself back together and you put yourself back new. You're still the same material that was there before.
Hmm.
There's but transformation. You're changing in your form. And the reason I say that is because when you're going through this the first time as as a teenager, as a preteen or adolescence, pre-adolescence. That's your first time doing it. So you need someone to go with you and support you while you're experiencing that. And when I say support you while you're experiencing that, is helping you make sense of that while it's happening.
Hmm.
And ideally, that would be a parent or another present worthy adult in your life.
When you were saying that, I had a question in my head. Like, what are the
Yay.
common things that teenagers face that make them wanna those the walls that they built? Like
Mm,
bully, is that
sure.
one of the
At a very high level, remember, when you're a teenager,
Mhm.
oftentimes they feel they're expected to be adults. So they're trying to do what they think adults are, and they think adults are perfect. It- and what I mean by that is, yeah, they're it's twofold. There are many problems. So if they think there's an expectation for them to be mature, they think adults are perfect, they're flawless, and they have it all together. So they're trying to do that, but then they know they're not doing that. They know they're falling short. So
Right.
then they feel insecure. I'm just like, so then that's why they shrink up, and that's why
Mm.
there's a lack of confidence there.
Mm.
Another thing is that kids move towards your expectations. So if they feel, oftentimes society, unfortunately, calls teenagers immature, right? Or they speak negatively of them. But think about it. We don't call a baby an immature toddler, or you don't call a
Yeah.
toddler an immature child. Rather, this the teenager or an adolescent is characteristic of trying new things, of failing, of
Yeah,
being awkward.
failing. Yeah.
And when you make space for that and when you're gracious towards that while still helping them express themselves, oftentimes we want to shut down what they're doing, but helping them express themselves uniquely in their virtues and values, and that's the work that I do, the show framework. That's where you're pulling them from behind that wall. Yeah.
Mm. Hey, I was letting that marinate for a while.
Mm,
How can parents foster resilience and self-esteem in their preteens as they navigate the challenges of growing up and self-discovery?
yeah. So resilience, I love words. I'm a former English teacher, so you know. But
Oh my God.
resilience is, oh, and
Please
she covered her
excuse
mouth and
my
covered, whatever,
please excuse
whatever.
my grammar.
No, you got to show up. Like we're having this conversation. Come on, come on. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
so, the point I was gonna make is what saltar comes from the Latin. Re means again. Saltar means to jump, right? So it means to jump back or to bounce back. The way you teach a person resilience is, first of all, you model it when you make mistakes. When you make mistakes, you do three things. You say, hey, this is what I did, and this is not the type of person I want to be. Again, it's identity. The second one is you make it right. And then after you make it right, you say, this is what I promise going forward. Again, we're mending the broken places. We're repairing and reconnecting after we make a rupture. Now, what that teaches our kids is you can bounce back. You teach them resilience. And especially if you're teaching them that from a place of their identity, they can know, oh yeah, it's in my identity that I've seen mom and dad bounce back. And I know that they will,
Mm.
not that they will allow me, but it's possible to bounce back in this world. They will start to trust themselves in filling those spaces.
So, and that is why you said at the adolescent need that figure in their life that they can model, right? So whenever they fall short of the expectations that were placed upon them, but then when they see their parents also failing, but will they be cognizant of that they are failing and it's okay for me to fail as well, or it's gonna disrupt the whole thinking that my parents are not what they say they are and they're not doing what I thing that they're supposed to do, but they're asking me to do that thing. Oh, disconnect and
So what I think I'll answer what I think I'm hearing you say.
mm-hmm,
When I say repair and reconnections, if you yourself are falling short from your own expectations of what you want to be in your own
mm-hmm,
identity,
mm-hmm,
you get to choose that, first of all. But you're having that conversation with your kid of, hey, this is how I'm not showing up in this, and I'm trying to fix that.
I
And
love
you
that.
can't be what you can't see. So you're trying to model it for them. And then when
Right.
they see that, hey, it's okay for him to do this, or it's okay for her to do this, that means it's okay for me to do this. This is what adults are. And adults, hey, there's also self-care. When you show them, hey, I'm showing compassion to myself, like then your child is just like, okay, it's okay to show compassion to myself. I'm worthy of my own love.
And now I'm gonna jump to another thought that I have, and that is
Mm-hmm.
also important. Why, like kids that grow up with strict parents where they're restricted in their expression, they
Mm-hmm.
can come with repressed emotions like growing up. Because why I'm saying this is because I am training to be a hypnotherapist, so and a lot of it is regressing back to childhood. Yeah, the form how do I say this,
Formative
the years,
years.
yeah, for formative years, what, from 1 to 7, I read it somewhere. And
Mm-hmm.
when, because okay, why I'm saying is because I have another sibling that she's not as open, and I couldn't see it from her angle because I told her, what do you
Could or
mean?
couldn't?
I couldn't because
Couldn't. Mm-hmm.
yeah, I couldn't because I was like, what do you mean? I'm I think they're okay. You just have to speak up. And I think if I were to now that I think about it and um take a step back, I think it's kind of selfish for me to say that because she might have experienced something that I did not with my parents, and it made her feel like it was not safe for her to express her opinion, or yeah,
Yeah.
and I cannot impose that upon her that you can just open up, just open up, just open up. And then training to be a therapist, it's you that doesn't work. Just
I mean,
you don't come up
everybody
to
has their
people
own.
and say, yeah,
Open up.
yeah, I mean, open up. Easy for you to say, like, I just don't want her to be harboring resentment towards me, like, yeah,
Mm.
because you know you're the
Yeah,
eldest, and
everybody has their lived experience,
yeah.
and actually, one aspect of parenting or being with people is to actually make sure they feel seen. And when I say make sure they feel seen is the reason they have emotions. Emotions do 5 things, and one of them is it's informing us about our own well-being and how we're showing up in the world as we're moving towards our desires and goals. When we have funky emotions, oftentimes the world is not in alignment of what we think. And when there's another person on the outside, or even on the inside if you're doing inner family work, but when there's another person or another entity that can see you and say, I get it, I understand, it makes you feel as if you're not alone and that there's
Hmm.
actually support for this experience. So that goes a long way. And ideally we can do that as parents so that the kid can learn to self-reflect and see themselves and soothe themselves.
Mm, I like that. The kid to reflect and soothe themselves.
Yeah, that's what introspection is, to look inside.
Yeah, that's right. And I didn't understand that until I'm an adult.
That's all right. We're all on a journey, and there are points on the journey that some people get to later on. There are points that I've yet to get to.
Mm.
But then when you realize that everybody is on their own journey, you're a bit more gracious. Yeah.
Right. Thank you, Marcus. So, what strategies can parents use to gain insights into their teenagers' emerging authentic self, which they often reserve for their friends?
First of all, you can drive the car to the soccer matches and you can listen while they're talking.
Attend their recitals.
Well, no, I'm saying be like, I say drive the car, but then be the in the U.S. It's called like the person who drives everyone
Yeah.
everywhere. Because like the
Oh,
kids will be talking in the back seat, and
right,
while they're
right,
talking,
right.
you just sit there, just shut up, and just listen.
Okay, okay, that's what you mean. Okay.
But the point I was gonna make is it's active listening, right? Oftentimes we think that peers have a stronger influence when if you do it correctly, you have a head start against all social media, all other influencers. And if you lay the seeds before all the other stuff sets in, you will always have an anchor with your kid. So ideally, that's what you want to do. Now, how do you have them open up when with things that they usually open up with their friends? First of all, know that you're not always gonna see all of them. When I
Mm,
say you're not always gonna see, that's life. I mean,
mm.
there are parts of my friends don't see all of me. Sometimes even we don't see all of us. But you just have to accept that. The second is always give them a space to be authentic. It's psychological safety, meaning they can show up authentically without fear of threat. That's all psychological safety means. That means when they do show up authentically, there are certain behaviors that we don't allow, behaviors that break down or that lead to the opposite of well-being, that harm us.
Mhm.
However, every emotion is accepted. Like because emotions come and go, and we acknowledge emotions as they're here because they're informing us about what you think of the world. But you don't want to shut down the kid because as you shut them down, um, they'll stop expressing.
So that's why it's very important for the kid to have a safe space for her to open up, for him or her to open up. Mm.
And you know that safe space could be another trustworthy present parent in their life, or another trustworthy present adult. It could be the page. It could be if they have a prayer life. Like give your child options for spaces to open up. And when I say give them options, you can model those options, and you could also speak with them about, hey, it seems as though you're going through something. Never assume because we really don't know until somebody opens up. But
Mm.
you could, again, if you're giving them tactics, strategies, and ways in which to process what's happening in their head, you're communicating that you care. And you're not just throwing up your hands and saying, oh, there's a problem with you, but rather, hey, I'm actively working with you to help you solve this problem, and I'm going to support you through it. Like you have to do the work, and you model doing the work with yourself, and you're also reaching out to them.
Well, thank you, Marcus.
It's been a
Hmm.
pleasure.
When does the typical teenage withdrawal cross the line? Now, I have few more questions for you.
Really? Okay.
Oh, yes, yes, I have fewer questions. Like I just whenever somebody says something that I like to take a moment and thank them because sometimes I don't see it from that point of view. So
Sure,
truly,
sure,
thank you.
sure.
When does a typical teenage withdrawal cross the line into an isolating disconnection that may signal deeper issues? And what are the signs parents should watch out for?
Um, so kids are gonna isolate. That's that's a thing that does happen. Yeah, while they're processing their thoughts, we say it's when they isolate from friends at school or
Mm.
friends in all other social circles. It's when they start to pull away from society that we start to get concerned. Um, especially if they are only on their devices. So ideally, there is some sense of community outside of the devices. Ideally, they're connecting with people. So,
It's late for
yeah,
you. We're
yeah,
gonna
yeah.
wrap this up.
No, it's all right. Ideally, they're connecting with people outside of their devices, but it's when they start to isolate away from school friends, away from the community, and away from you. You have to check in to stay to get professional help. And, yeah.
get a counselor or a therapist to talk to them.
Yeah.
Now, as preteens start to challenge authority, how can parents establish and enforce rules without creating an adversarial dynamic?
This comes down to collaborative problem solving again. So first of all, we have to understand why preteens are challenging the rules. You've ever been on a roller coaster and you know that bar they put down on you?
Mm-hmm.
Like you ever see someone shake it because they want to make sure that it's safe,
Yeah,
that it hasn't.
yeah.
That's what a lot of teenagers do when they're navigating. When I say collaborative mistrust, they're trying to see, can I trust this adult? So like they're shaking them, they're trying to rattle them. That might be one reason why there's pushback, right?
Mm,
Um, the way you do it without creating all that drama is by collaborative problem solving. You're getting their point of view, their perspective, and you're inviting them into the conversation of working towards a solution. What that looks like is starts off by active listening, by saying, well, first of all, you don't want to attack. When I say attack them, just pop it on them. You say, hey, I want to speak with you at this time, at this place about something I've seen. Or you could use it during you time if they allow you to, right? So that they know they can prepare for it. And then you say, what are your thoughts on this? You're inviting them into the conversation at the beginning. And then you establish saying, what are the challenges? What are the expectations? You're giving your point of view as the adult in the room. Remember, you're always setting the tone. You're setting the
mm,
tone as the adult in the room. They're figuring out from you. And then after that, then you come up with a solution because they're not the problem. The problem is, or the challenge is over here. And you come up, both of you as creators, trying to solve this problem. Um, you come up with a solution that you're going to try for a certain time, and then you come back and you revisit it. But now that you've given them a voice, as part of the solution, they can own some of the solution. They're like, okay, yeah, this is me. I chose this.
mm.
Um, and if it doesn't work, then let them know, hey, it's all right. It didn't work. We need to figure out something else, something that we both can agree upon.
Basically, just be present and just be engaged with your kid. I think that's the fundamental, one of the fundamentals.
Yes, and
No,
I think no, yes, and
yes, and
the quality of your communication is directly related to the quality of your life. So,
oh, that's a big one. Quality of your communication directly relates to the quality of your life. Yeah, that is.
I mean, think about it. Do you talk? Do you talk? You need to learn how to talk with yourself, and then also when you need to talk to yourself. In the same title of your
Wow.
podcast,
Mm-hmm.
you are worthless. That's you talking to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I tell parents, be mindful of the voice with which you speak to children, for in time that becomes a voice with which they speak to themselves.
Yeah.
But when we look at the voices in our heads, it's like, where did that voice come from? We have to ask ourselves. It's not only
Mm.
for the parents to blame. There's no shaming, no blaming, no complaining about parents, but those voices did come from somewhere. And oftentimes we say, twice I did good, I heard it never. Once I did bad and I
Mm.
heard it forever.
Yeah.
So how do we change that communication so that we don't poison their head, eh?
Ooh. Okay. Wow. You should have your. Are you sure you're not a podcast host as well yourself?
I'm thinking of it. Actually, when I
You
leave here now,
should. Yeah. I think you should.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Well, you guys heard it here
yeah.
first on Your Worthless
Yay.
podcast. Right. So, Marcus, what is next for you?
This is what's next for me. This is my next step. When I say this, it's the startup framework, trying to find some
Mm-hmm.
case studies to actually put it into action. I work with parents for 6 months. First of all, we go through the training. After we
Mm-hmm.
go through the training, then there's coaching calls by which we connect and helping to instill, like we said, that empowering voice to bring forth their child's greatness. So that is what's next for me. That is what I'm doing. Because, like I said, this is a message for humanity. This is not just a message for one particular person or group. There will always be preteens with us. And there will always be, we all live in the biggest room. that is the room for improvement. So that is the work that I do.
All right. I'm going to pivot to a self-worth question because you
Go for it.
mentioned
Go for it.
my podcast talks a lot about self-worth. So the question for you, Marcus, what are some common misconceptions about self-worth and how can we debunk them to help others on their journey of self-discovery?
What are some common misperceptions about self-worth and what can we do
Misconceptions.
to debunk them? Some of the common misconceptions of self-worth are, well, I'll tell you my belief, and the
Mm,
misconceptions are anything that aren't aligned with my belief. But I believe you were born whole, and
mm.
then you're told stories by which you think I'm less than. You're never less than, and you're never more than, but you are the fullness. And
Mm.
when you can bring your awareness to I am the fullness, and I am the universe experiencing itself,
Self.
um, yeah, life changes up. What can we do to debunk them? First of all, tell yourself new stories, right? We are the stories we tell ourselves. Two, find evidence and examples for what you want to believe. When you realize that life is up, a lot of this is of our own creation in our own head. When we find evidence and examples of those things, we start to shift our beliefs, right? You're worthy of being. And because look at this, right? To be, it's three things. It means it intakes, process, and outputs. All living things do that. Every cell takes in from its environment, processes it, and then it outputs. That's what it means to be. And you're worthy of experiencing this life, giving it meaning, and then giving an expression of what this means. If you stop any of that, if you stop from coming in, you're going to die. If you
Hmm.
stop from processing it, you're going to die. And if you stop from expressing, you're going to become constipated and then you'll
That's
die.
true. That's why
So
it's
you're worthy of being, and you were
mm,
born to do that. You were born to experience, process, and express. One other misconception, I'll give you a whole bunch, eh?
mhm.
Um, that it's tied to how we perform. That is a value system, but it's different. They're the skills that you bring. And yes, sometimes we base value on skills. You have more skills of speaking Malay than I do. That's you're Malaysian, right? That doesn't mean you're better than me or you're worth more than me. That means that if we have
Mm,
to have a conversation in Malay, you have more value, yeah. But you
mhm,
and I, we have equal intrinsic worth as humans.
mm,
Like we're both full humans. We have different skills,
mhm.
but we're both full humans, worthy humans, yeah. And when there's the last final thing. When you navigate this world, seeing the value and worth of other people, it helps you trust that worth in yourself. Like like realizing that other people are worthy, that helps you see I'm worthy of this as well. Yeah.
And sometimes you cannot help but to compare, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
Well, yeah.
Quick
Well,
thought.
sure. We can compare. And there's, for me, in my worldview, there's nothing wrong with comparison.
Mhm.
It's when we start to put judgment on it.
Mm,
So we compare by saying our hair is different, right? Or I'm a guy and you're a girl, right? There's nothing wrong with that per se. It's when I start to say, you're better than me, or I'm better than you. Like compare. That's how we measure things. It is objectively true. But let's not put judgment on that comparison.
mhm.
Or do what you want to. I know there's more peace when there is no judgment on the comparison.
Thank you for being
Hey.
so graceful with your answer.
uh, my
What is your
pleasure.
heart's greatest wish, Marcus?
My heart's greatest wish is called Swan. For every kid to know that they are safe, they are worthy of being, they are they're able to
Riverside
they're
approves of
able
that.
they're able to pursue their goals. They're able to pursue their goals, and all their needs will be met as they meet the needs of others. Their needs will be met as they meet the needs of others. That's Swan. And I think when kids realize that, They grow up into people who realize that, to know that they're safe, they're worthy of being, they're able to pursue their goals, and their needs will be met as they meet the needs of others. If they know that, I think it'll change the world. Yeah.
Do you have a mantra that you live by?
The word is love. Spread the word.
You're ready. For the listeners, we did not practice for this.
I've been practicing my whole life
Yeah,
for this
yeah.
one moment. Yeah.
Is there anything that keeps you up at night, or do you sleep well?
I mean, it comes and goes. It comes and goes.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing that majorly worries me. There's work that I wish to be done. I'll get to it. Yeah, that's my answer. No big worries.
Okay, last question for you. If you could create a quote right now for you to leave to the audience listening and the world as your legacy, what would it be?
There's a quote I know in my head that I can say, but you want me to create it right now?
You can pick it
You
from
want me to give a
somewhere,
quote?
someone. Yeah,
Oh, oh yeah,
up
no,
to
this
you.
is the quote. Well, yeah, there's no greater privilege than to be who you are. There's no greater privilege than to be who you are. And when it is told, let them know it is a privilege to hear your story.
Now, Marcus, how can people reach out to you?
Like this. At marcushiggs.com. You can find me there. You can on LinkedIn is where I hang out. You can see a lot of my stuff.
LinkedIn, where you hang out. Okay. I don't think we're connected on LinkedIn, are we? Maybe
Not yet.
let me.
Not
Not
yet.
yet. Okay. Maybe yeah, definitely. All right. So that's marcushiggs.com. Is that correct?
Correct.
And
There it is right
and
there.
let
Boom.
okay.
Mhm.
All right. Well, and there you have it, guys. You heard it from the person himself, Marcus Aurelius Higgs. Before we close up, Marcus, I'd like to thank you for the work that you're doing for the world and for advancing every step of the way despite the challenges, creating trails for those that will come after you. For our listeners, this has been that one podcast with that controversial name, You're Worthless. Read that again. The juxtaposition of your very soul. Now, if you find yourself thinking that you are worthless, probably you're not alone. But more importantly, ask yourself a level deeper, if I'm worthless, then why the heck am I here? It is because your soul has chosen to be here energetically all the way from the ethers. And for that reason itself, you are worthy and you are enough. This has been Marcus Aurelius Higgs, your guest of the day, and Nick Nierras, your host, signing off. Thank you, Marcus.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you.